check out this video and let's see what Ron DeSantis has to say about this.
Folks here really deserve. And, you know, I look about people here, every time I run into someone, it's like, oh, yeah, I'm a Florida resident now. Like people, when did you buy, where are you at? And they'll be like, oh, I'm in Santa Rosa Beach. When did you buy the property? Oh, I bought it in 2018. I'm like, you've made a lot of money off that property since then because the values have gone up. And while there's good for that because people that own it have more equity and have more wealth, you know, the reality is if they're going to come tell you your house is worth twice as much than what you purchased it and you got to pay higher taxes as a result, that's a negative of having rising property values. And it's an unrealized gain. You sell your house, it's one thing on a transaction for someone to say to tax, like a sales tax, but to say you're just enjoying property.
I get it, Governor DeSantis. The issue that I have and a lot of other locals have is let's use Tampa for an example. The average household income in Tampa is about $72,000 a year. However, the average amount of money that you would have to make as a household to afford the average priced house in Tampa, you would have to earn a household income of $106,000 a year. That's the problem that a lot of us are having. Because the value of the house is going up. Yeah, he's right. People who own houses, they're doing really well with home equity and things like that. However, for anybody, especially the younger Americans, you got to think Gen Z and still millennials should still be considered because they're in their 30s and some are in their 40s at this point, or a few of them, I guess. I mean, most are still in their 30s. But with the cost of housing, with the average household income being significantly less than you need to qualify for just the average priced house, otherwise a bank won't give you a loan. It's a major problem, and I don't know what that's going to look like down the road. I don't see it getting any better. The only thing I could see is that younger Americans are going to get a lot more jaded when it comes to that. And politically speaking, Democrats, they're the only ones that are talking about housing being extremely expensive, and we got to figure out a way to get it down. Republicans are not talking about that. They're like DeSantis. He's basically saying it's party time, except for the whole tax situation, which people will be glad about the whole taxes thing, but I don't see how that's going to help property values go down at all. If anything, it's probably going to send them up. So, I mean, how do you fix that? Maybe go to the local property appraisal offices and find out exactly why they raised so quickly and so fast. I think in the case of Florida, it's probably just the supply and demand at the time back in 21, 22, when prices skyrocketed because there were only like 8,000 houses that were on the market for sale across the entire state. But that's not happening anymore. Now there's this huge supply of houses. Last I checked, there's about 250,000 properties that are for sale right now on the market, and it's still going up. And that's going to continue being a problem, at least for local residents, because the average household income, it's $70,000, $80,000 per year, but you have to make over $100,000 to qualify for the house. So I don't see how that's going to fix everyday Floridians and everyday Florida residents who live here and want to buy a house here. It's only going to, in my opinion, I think it's only going to open up more opportunity for big corporations and big hedge funds and BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard. Are they going to come in and start swooping up tons of houses because they're the only ones that can really afford it? Those and just like the top 10% of the most wealthy, but everybody else just simply can't afford it. I think that renters, the number of rentals is probably going to skyrocket over the next 5-6 years unless something happens with the property values. So it's kind of disappointing to hear that he's not willing to get into how we're going to try to figure out the whole property value situation, because was it artificially messed with? Did the local property appraisal offices, did they jack up the value of houses artificially in order to collect more property taxes? From what I understand, they're apparently doing that in Texas. And I think that Texas, the local property offices are under investigation for that, for potential fraud. So I don't know. We'll just have to see.
And all of a sudden, the value, so you have to pony up. We don't really do that in anything else. I mean, you buy a stock, you hold it, and then you're taxed when you sell it. The stock doubles. They don't just tax you as you hold it. So unrealized gains is not the way you want to run a tax system, but our property tax system basically relies on these unrealized gains. So we're going to work hard to provide relief, but ultimately we can't, as elected leaders, deliver the relief without the voters approving it at the ballot box.
True.
And so just get ready. You're going to have an opportunity to do
and
that.
they'll probably
I'm sure
approve
it's
it.
going to be very favorably
'Cause
received
everybody
in
votes
Walton
for
County
less taxes.
and probably everywhere else, in this part of the state.
Yeah, that's I would almost certainly see that happening. That people are going to vote for that to happen if it makes it onto the ballot later this year, maybe even next year. Not so sure, but let me change that to residential. Just curious to see what the average amount is. Okay. The median annual property tax bill for Florida homeowners is around $2,338 to $2,386. So we're not talking huge money. We're not talking $10,000, $20,000. We're still talking a relatively low amount of money. So that's what, maybe $200 a month, $250 a month. That would be significant for me. If I could save $200 some a month with anything, that would be hella beneficial for me.